It's just, they're so stupid, I don't even listen to them. They're all Cheeto-eating dorks on their freaking mom's couch.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us for this latest episode of It's Not Cage Fighting. Yes, we are actually back from our debut preview show. We weren't scared away by all the criticism. Thank you very much, actually, by the way, for all the positive support. I know 224 was maybe not the most star power event, but I think we got a good hour of talking out of it. And I don't know about you, I think 224, given everything, turned into a pretty decent show.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, and I think our predictions weren't...
No. I think I got 4 out of 5. I had Jacare beating Kelvin.
Yeah, I think
three. We got 3 maybe.
Yeah, I went. I want Leo to win. I think I went beat all, but
yeah.
we'll leave it for there.
That's it.
And share about only what 10 people watched it.
I know. And realistically, the Leo and Vio fight should have been the fight that drew people in.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm sure it probably was.
Definitely. Now he's retired, people will miss him.
Yeah, exactly.
So it has been a big couple of weeks in MMA, of course, especially from a British perspective. Of course, Max was very close to actually missing the show. I think he was still hungover from being at UFC Liverpool. What was that like, Max?
Oh, it was unbelievable. The atmosphere in that place was lifting. It was just, honestly, it was just, the whole roof was lifting off. And I think Dana White afterwards as well was mentioned how the reason he came over to the UK just to see the atmosphere in the arena.
Good.
I think a little part of that was probably the fact he wanted to meet Conor McGregor as well. He may be trying to play it off as coming to this, but yeah.
Might bring it back quicker than mightn't it?
Yeah, he said he wants to try and bring it back.
Yeah.
Even possibly to, I think he mentioned possibly Birmingham, of one of the places.
They'll probably try and keep it close to Till and make Till maybe the main man again.
Well, they said Vegas next.
I've heard Vegas next, and I've also heard a rumour that if Till was ever to become champion, he's angling for Anfield.
I've heard Anfield. That would be
good.
I would love it. As a Liverpool supporter, I would.
We're not going about football, eh?
No, we've got a lot of MMA to talk about, and what a card we have a chance to talk about. A lot of criticisms over the star power of 224, but really, we've had a couple of middling pay-per-views so far. 223 was supposed to be a big one, and then Conor McGregor's antics got in the way of that one. 225 has the potential to be one of the biggest cards of the year. I mean, normally when we think of big cards, we think of Madison Square Garden, we think of Fight Week. Outside of those two, I think this is probably the biggest we've had for a long, long time.
I would say definitely just because of even the fight pass and the prelim fights. You've got some big names on there
from start to finish. Yeah,
I think that's what's that? Going to be about 15 fights possibly.
I'm looking at it now. We're looking at about 13 fights.
13 fights.
13 fights. 4 on Fight Pass, 4 on Fox, and then of course the 5 main card fights.
And there's some absolutely massive fights on the prelims. It's one of them ones where you're going to watch from the beginning all the way to the end, and you're going to be glad you watched it.
Well, we're going to be discussing a lot of those prelim fights right now. We should have the graphic up on your screen right now. And as we mentioned before, so many big names on this card, and so many, even fights which have title shot implications as well. I mean, the fact that Alistair Overeem, who's been an established figure of this sport for the past 200,000 years, is there headlining the Fox card up against Curtis Blades, who potentially could be one of the next heavyweight champions.
Does it matter as much, going off the fight thing, does it matter as much now whereabouts on these fight cards you are? Because it seems more and more now that there's some big names going further down. Are they just relishing the chance to what, like before years ago, maybe the bigger names wouldn't want to go off the main card, and the dream was to one day be on the main card. Now some of them, like I say, don't seem to be bothered that the further down.
I think with the impact of this event, so many fighters wanted to get on this. I don't think they care where they are on it.
And I think as well, one of the factors you need to put in mind, I heard Chael Sonnen talking about this, is you've got to bear in mind you've got the pay-per-view main card, but you've also got the Fox card. Fox are trying to do a TV show to get big ratings, so they'll want a bigger fight to try and draw in those casual audiences. And I mean, when you had the choice, say, between, I don't know, Holly Holm and Megan Anderson, or Alistair Overeem, former Strikeforce champion, former Pride champion.
Punk.
Well, of course, we're going to keep Punk on the pay-per-view, aren't we? Tracked all the WWE fights.
Yeah, exactly.
But even away from Overeem and Blades, I mean, you've got Claudia Gadelha and Karl Esparza there, so we've got former strawweight title challenger up against former strawweight champion, Ricardo Lamas, who challenged for a title, up against Bektic, who's one of the big prospects. And even on Fight Pass, I mean, you've got Rashad Evans, former champion, Joe Benavidez, Clay Guida, who was in one of my all-time favourite fights of all time against Diego Sanchez.
Brilliant fight.
Amazing fight. This really has to be one of the most stacked cards of all time.
Yeah, I would say it would be hard to find one that was more stacked than this. And I think with some of those those prelim fights.
They normally try and do it on memorable events, don't they? Really?
Yeah.
Anything like that where they make every fight so good.
And you've got a chance of this probably be. You could say this could, if every fight went to plan, and was a big fight, the best event has been.
Yeah.
Although, mind you, the more we say this, we're recording this on the Monday, so by the time this goes out on air, it'll probably all change. Conor McGregor will be back with his A-team van, smashing up all the buses, so...
Anything could happen, couldn't
Anything can happen, and that's why we love the sport. So, we've touched a bit about the prelim card. Any fight in particular you're looking forward to?
For me, on the prelim one, it's got to be Claudia for me. Just because I'm a big fan of her. Overeem, I'm also a fan of. I just think with that chin he's got, honestly, I would put money on Overeem 1 round every time.
Well,
1 round.
That's
After
where
that,
I'm old school. I like to see the heavyweights, and whether you knock them out or get knocked out, it's just they are the most interesting. I would go over him.
I'm looking forward to Lamas versus Bektic. I mean, Lamas has always been a top level fighter, but Bektic, in my opinion, is one of the most promising, exciting fighters we've had for a long time. And I mean, yes, there was that slip up against Darren Elkins, but take that away, the guy's been dominant.
He has, and I think if you beat Lamas, it's a good scalp to take. My thing with Lamas is however good of a fighter he is, I feel like he's still only beaten a middle tier kind of fighter. I'm still waiting for him to beat that big name and be like, hang on, he's in a title contention again.
All he has to do is just keep winning though, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Beat whoever they put in front of him.
So, of course, we're talking about winning fights, which is quite ironic because in our first match, we're going to be talking about 2 men who haven't won a UFC fight yet. And, of course, this is CM Punk, the former WWE superstar, going up against MMA journalist Mike Jackson. Now, normally when it comes to discussing fights on this show, normally we weigh up the pros and cons of each fighter, the training camps, etc., what elements of the sport they can exploit. I was realising I can't really do that with these two because there is just so little to work on.
Well, they're both athletes still.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Jackson, was he 4-0 professional boxing? And
I think it was amateur. I think it was amateur boxing.
Ah, right. Well, I looked and I thought he was a professional on something, and I'd seen that the 4 fights he'd won were all by KO. Now, how good they were, them lads, I don't know. But still, to knock someone out in 4 out of 4, I thought, so...
That's a background in fighting.
Yeah.
I don't know what CM Punk's background is in actual fighting.
What's his belt in jiu-jitsu?
I think he's got a blue belt in jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
So he's been doing it for however long and round, I suppose, hasn't he? I mean, was he compliant with when he was doing his wrestling, Karl?
I think that was something which he fully committed to it once he started switching to MMA.
Right.
I don't think it's something he ever trained when he was in WWE.
Right.
I just think, honestly, for me, the whole CM Punk thing, I really don't understand. I can see you bringing in fans, of course, like you were saying, the WWE.
But do the UFC need it? Do they need him?
I don't.
Well, if you look at 203, I mean 203, which was the fight where he fought Mickey Gall, that did some pretty good numbers, largely because of it.
It did, and it's like when they brought in, what was he called, who fought Randy Couture, the heavyweight, Tony.
Brock.
No,
James Tony.
Yeah. Like, I thought they would have done the same with CM Punk. Once he got beat, be a bit ruthless and kick him out. If he won, carry on that training, come on, look, he's going to be the next thing. When he got beat, I actually did think that would be the end of him. Obviously, they must think a bit more about him.
I think, however, obviously James Tony is James Tony. He's a big name. I feel like his time was kind of done.
Yeah.
I think whether he'd won or lost, it was kind of like you're not bringing anyone in. CM Punk does have a big following. Yeah. So I think you give him another chance to see numbers come in, especially in such a big event like this. And
I think the big difference as well is that with James Toney, you had somebody who arguably was doing it just for money.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, am I right in saying that Karl called CM Punk out back then, and they actually brought in Mike, so Karl didn't go in as a UFC debut to fight CM Punk? Am I right in saying that, Karl? And he fought Mike first, didn't he? Beat Mike, then he went on to fight CM Punk.
Yes, the big irony with Mike Jackson and CM Punk is that the guy they both lost to was Mickey Gall. And if I remember correctly, I think Gall beat Jackson in about 46 seconds, and Punk lasted 3 minutes.
3 minutes, yeah. Which doesn't mean nothing as a thing.
Doesn't,
but I'm sure they brought him in as a fight to make him a bit of a someone before he fought CM Punk.
I just honestly can't see. For me, I can't see Mike Jackson losing it just because he's got more of a back. As far as I know, from what the knowledge I have, he has more of a fighting background than CM Punk.
Yeah.
Well, from the videos I've seen of Mike Jackson, we mentioned in the boxing, he does have a lot of power in his hands. There's a lot of questions over whether the quality of his opposition was any good. A lengthy frame, which might be a good thing, obviously, when it comes to the stand-up.
Yep.
His head movement isn't great, though.
But is CM Punk going to capitalise on that?
Yeah. I don't know what training CM Punk's been doing. Has he been doing wrestling? Has he been doing jiu-jitsu? Is he... Like, there's so many different fields you can do in MMA. I think it's too short of a time for him to...
For this fight, in particular, he'll have definitely been working, I think, on wrestling to get him to the floor and then the jiu-jitsu to tap him out. I don't think he'll start on boxing to stand and trade with him.
No.
Or any type of stand-up. Maybe a little bit for more defence than anything, but I think the game plan for CM Punk will definitely be there.
And I think the big advantage as well that Punk might have, though, is Jackson's doing this on very much a part-time basis. Obviously, he's doing it around his job. He's an MMA journalist. Punk is full-time. He's training with Duke Rufus, who's one of the best names in the business. So he's going to have that backing and that support.
And a lot of the training partners to go with it.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what, that does sway my opinion. Because I think doing it part-time and full-time, there is a difference.
It is a huge difference. I've done it myself. For people like I say, I've done it myself, where I've gone part-time at work, but they're still full-time. And I know and I've went the distance with them, and I thought, I don't regret it, but in the back of your head you're thinking, if I'd had that extra, when you're at work, you only train once a night, and you're still not 100%. Yeah. They're waking up, they're training, they're going for a rest, they're training again. They train 3 times a day. Not all the time is 3 times full on, but they're learning all the time. And
I think even things like that, I don't know, you might know better, but even things like diet. Yeah. If you're at work, it's harder to get your meals
of course it is.
Nutrients and all.
And you need bits of fats, so to say, in everything, but especially at work, you're burning it off, and you're not burning off and doing any good, whereas they're burned off in a way of improvement.
Yeah. I think that's kind of swayed my decision to CM Punk, to be honest.
And I have always been of the belief as well that it's easier to take a boxer down than it is to keep a wrestler standing. So I've always favoured wrestlers when it comes to these sort of matchups.
Yeah.
But a fight always still starts stood up. I agree with that 100%, Karl.
That being said, though, when I look at the training videos I've seen of Punk, when I look at the videos I've seen of Jackson in his boxing, I've just got this feeling it's not going to end well for Punk. I've got Jackson winning in the first round.
I would have agreed with you, but I do think there is a big difference between full-time and part-time.
Yeah. I'm going to go for Mike Jackson, but I'm maybe not going to say the first round because I don't think he's going to run in and dive in for the simple fact of getting taken down. And I think I do maybe think that Punk might even get him the floor at one point, and it might be a bit of a tussle. So I'll go with Mike second round.
If there's one guy who Punk can beat, it's Mike Jackson.
It is.
Yes.
Hopefully,
on the UFC rooster.
Hopefully by GTS.
I'm going to go against everything I've just said previously, and I'm going to go for CM Punk. And my only issue is the first fight he had, he went in, got taken down. This fight, is he going to go into the same?
Am I right to say that must be 2 years ago?
2 years ago, September 2016.
So they've both been out for 2 years, because like I say, he fought him
That's
before.
A long time now.
Both of them. It's quite an unusual fight, really.
I'll go CM Punk.
Very unusual.
Should it be on pay-per-view?
No.
I would say definitely not. It's a prelim fight all over. But
not on the UFC, no, because they don't need that fight.
No.
Like, if they were looking for ratings and they had some good talent in as well, then yes, bring that person in to bring the pay-per-view, and then while people are watching, then let them see these other talents. Mm-hmm. But I don't think they're going to necessarily get more.
They don't need it.
Audience.
No.
And I think that they must know that. Like you say, maybe CM Punk has more to offer than what we think.
Maybe, and the backroom staff and Dana and all them, they'll know who he's bringing in, what numbers he's bringing in.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll see what happens after this fight. If he loses, I don't see him staying. Yeah, he will be gone.
So we're 2 for 1 in terms of Mike Jackson beating CM Punk. Big call there, considering you're live on YouTube right now, seeing all that there, Max.
I've gone against everything I just said, but I'll stick with CM.
So we move on to match number 2 now, and it's a big heavyweight clash there, potentially a star-making match as well. Tuivasa going up against Andrei Arlovski, and it gives us an opportunity to discuss something which I've really noticed in regard to this card: the rise of Australian MMA. I mean, it used to be a point when around that sort of down under region, it was only really Mark Hunt who was like the big star from that region. We've got 3 Australians on this card and 3 highly regarded Australians as well. How has this happened?
Well, I think a lot for this card, not the whole Australian itself, but for this card itself, it's down to Whittaker, and they're gonna bring an Australian crowd in. So then while they've got that Australian crowd, they might as well, it's like if you went to watch some friends fight, you'd rather go and watch 3 or 4 friends or 3 or 4 people from your area than just go and watch one. So
because you do get the thing of people come for the main event.
Yeah.
That's all.
So I think it's a wise decision. I think it's probably better than the CM Punk on the main card. I think it's a better idea. You know, and I mean, how many of them train together, Karl? Do you know?
I don't think any of them train together.
No,
so
it's not, because I didn't know if that was the sort of thing. You know, like where Jim have like 3 lads fighting out the shore or whatever. But
I've in the past anyway. I've never been a massive fan of Australian fighters.
No. Really?
I've never been a big fan. I'll tell you who ruined it for me. George Soteropoulos
against the PS.
I'm so glad he
got beat.
Yeah, his body is the weirdest shape I've ever seen. He just ruined it for me. His attitude.
Well, then even back then, I mean, that must be 5 years ago. Definitely 5 years ago since the Smashers. I mean, they're like the Team UK versus Australia, like, and that was before all the Canada and Brazil and all that. So I think it was before the Brazil. And like I say, so there was something back then with Australia.
I didn't even like Robert Whittaker in The Ultimate Fighter.
No.
And honestly, he's
improved massively.
Even his attitude's changed. If you watch The Ultimate Fighter, the attitude he had, he's come around. He has matured a lot. So I'm a fan of Whittaker.
I think Tim made a good point there in putting all the Australians on the card, because I think it's the same night that Jeff Horn's defending his title.
Yeah.
So there's always been a bit of bad blood between Dana White and Jeff Horn's promoters. So having a big stacked Australian friendly card,
definitely
takes a bit of leeway off him.
Definitely. Well, it's bound to, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it gives us the opportunity to talk about one of those big Australian youngsters which is coming through. Tai Tuivasa, 265 pounds. A lot of people calling this guy the new Mark Hunt, and it's easy to see why.
Yeah, and he's he's got the right fight ahead of him, really, hasn't he? For as much as I think a lot of Arlovski and everything else, I think it might be a bad night for Arlovski, and I know he's on winning his last 2 fights.
Last two fights, yep.
He's a great fighter, and like he come out of nowhere, because it was years ago when I think he left the promotion. He went 0-4, something 0. He got beat off Fedor, which is no shame, and everyone else. And then he come back, he went on a winning streak, and he went back off the rails again. But I think he's had that many fights and that much training over the years, and that I think his chin's being questioned, and I think he's fighting against the wrong man.
I think definitely, and for me, I know I was going on about claiming a big scalp in UFC, but I think that's a big thing.
But backtracking on what I've just said there, if Arlovski is to have this fight, which he is against Tai, he's better off fighting him now than in another years down the line, because that Tai's only 25. He's just going to keep getting better and better and better.
I've been surprised. The thing which surprised me by Tai is how agile he is for such a big man. I mean, if you look at that fight against Coulter, his debut, I think he's only the second heavyweight to finish with a flying knee. I think Verdun was the other. So he's got a lot of agility for a big man.
On this card, I think.
Coulter, he's on the prelims.
Yeah, I think, for me, I honestly think this could be an easy win for Tai. I think it's coming the right time. I think Andrei Arlovski, like you say, however much of a legend of the sport he is, I do like him. I think I don't want to say it's an easy win. I think it's a comfortable win.
Yeah.
And I think he takes a big scalp there.
Yeah, I think it'll be his biggest, obviously, fight. I think he can't obviously underestimate, and he won't be underestimated at all. But like, it could be an easy night for him, if that makes sense. He's not he's not going to take it as an easy fight, but I think he could walk away thinking that maybe went better than it did. But
definitely,
I still can't write Arlovski off 1,000,000%.
That's
I cannot, and I would be wrong though.
And it's an Arlovski as well, which we're seeing a real different side to him. I think during when he went on that sort of 5-fight losing streak, and he was losing to names like Tybura, and he had the fight against, I think it was Overeem, he lost to Stipe, Tybura, as I mentioned before, Francis. I think his issue was he was trying to make it too much of a stand-up battle, being a bit over-reliant on his overhand. Now we're seeing Arlovski using his wrestling a lot more, and I think against Stefan Struve, I think I read somewhere he scored more takedowns against Struve than he did in his past 19 MMA fights. So he's using his wrestling a lot more.
As he must have maybe changed camp.
He switched training camps.
Yeah. Well, it can make a difference. You know, we might be writing Arlovski off here, and he might just shock us all here.
But then is it not them utilising a game that that might be the only kind of game plan he has now?
Yeah.
I think his age is a factor in it.
But as you say there about the game plan, but for this fight in particular, I think he'd be doing right to take him to the floor.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I can't see Tuivasa pulling a submission off his back for somehow.
No.
I mean, Tai Tuivasa pulling off like a triangle chokehold or something like that. I want to see that.
Let it happen. I just think the age and the fact, like you say, the amount of takedowns he had against Stefan Struve, I think that'll be a big game plan going into this fight.
Yeah. And both confidence will be high.
Yeah.
Definitely. Arlovski want to go. He's near the end of his career. He'll want to keep like this trend. Well, yeah, everyone wants to win, but they're both fighting for two different reasons. He's fighting for legacy, and the other one, Ty's fighting for to try and get back to try and one day be title contender.
What do you think's Ty's big weakness? What's Arlovski got to exploit to try and win this fight?
Well, if I was to go with Arlovski winning, I'd probably say by him keeping out of his way, doing his wrestling, and probably winning by decision.
Yeah.
I wouldn't actually by maybe grind him down with takedown and ground and pound and grinding him down. I would say
the thing.
Grind him down. I don't think finishing him. I'd say grind him down. Which, you know, if he's on his back and he's hitting him, he might not, like I say, might not knock him out, but he's winning the round. Then if he can avoid and keep his fitness going,
that's the issue as well. His cardio. I think.
You know, keeping him down, keeping that type of man down, and working all the time might pay in the third final round, But
then you've got to. I'm saying his cardio. He's a youngster. He's on his way up. Is it Arlovski's cardio you've got to worry about getting on?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
He's got to have a lot of cardio for me if he's taking him. If he's going to take him
down,
down,
that's what I was talking about. That's what I'm saying. Trying to keep him down and working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think Ty, if he does take him down, then you've got to look at his cardio taking Arlovski on top, because he knows what he's doing once he's down there.
Definitely.
So, chance to stake your claim there, put your head out there. Who's going to win this?
Your turn to go first.
When I first seen it, I thought Arlovski, just because I like him. But at the minute, I've always gone for the younger fighter, so I'm going to go for Ty.
I don't want to, but I'm going to go for Ty. But I would, if as a fan, even though I should support the youth and people come through, because really Arlovski could finish, and then that seems there. We want to see these, like you say, up and coming heavyweights. But I am going to go for Ty.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for Ty as well. But I've loved Arlovski for a long time. I remember the fight with Travis, which was one of the big things that really caught me into the sport. I would love to see Arlovski win this, and I think if he was to win, he would break the record for the most wins in heavyweight history.
Yeah.
He deserves a record like that.
Does, like.
But I think Ty's going to be too strong for him. I'm going to say Ty first round again.
Yeah. I'm not so sure about first round, but I'll go for Ty.
I'll go for Ty. Yeah, I can't pick the round.
So that's the second fight on the card, and now we move on to our middle card. And as is the norm these days in MMA, we've got a ladies' fight on there. I always loved that point as well in 2017 when they just threw like these random strawweight fights onto the main card for whatever reason.
Yeah,
I think there was a time they were trying to get a mixture of women's fighting in there. It became a lot of, let's just get Ronda Rousey or Miesha Tate in there. Yeah. And eventually you do have to expand it and get these fights on there, just as you would with some of the men's fights that you don't know. So I mean, it's good to see it happen. I
think it's like one in 5 on the main card for women. I think it's a major step forward, and I think it's good. I think, like you say, not too many, but I think 1 in 5 of the main cards is really good.
I mean, I don't have an issue with women's MMA whatsoever. I mean, sometimes you can get the women's fights and they're the best fights on the card.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, Angela Hill, Jessica Andrade. If no one's seen it,
I love that fight.
It's one of the best fights I've ever seen. It's so good. I love it.
You should check out my video there, 10 greatest women's MMA fights. Just shameless plug. Just up there in the corner there. But we have got a fight which I think is worthy of its main card slot. It's the first time outside of a title fight we've had a women's featherweight match. Yeah. And it's got one of the most promising newcomers in the UFC up against one of the most popular female stars. Holly Holm going up against Megan Anderson. A match as well with potential title implications. A lot of people saying the winner of this one could get a fight with Cyborg.
What, Holly as well? Holly could.
That's the story going round.
Well, after Holly beat Ronda, I didn't expect it to go on a 1-win 4-fight losers.
No, I don't think anyone did, to be honest.
But she's definitely not. You can't count her out. Not. Maybe see how this fight goes first. Really, like I'm not so sure on the. I don't know a great deal about the opponent. Is this a UFC debut?
This is going to be a UFC debut. Yep.
So it's a big UFC debut.
It's a big UFC debut to then go on to get a title shot afterwards, I think.
But I think as well, women's featherweight is it's a one-person division, isn't it?
Yeah,
definitely.
So if you are a slightly big bantamweight or even a women's featherweight as well, who shows any sort of small sign of potential, you're going to be thrown in against Cyborg anywhere.
Yeah. Do we know if Megan Anderson, I don't know if you do know, before she came to UFC, was kind of told that if she wins her first fight, she'd get a title shot? Because a lot of times...
It's not an eliminator though, is it? It hasn't been announced as an eliminator.
It hasn't been announced. The story goes that Ultimate Fighter 28 is going to be women's featherweights.
Right.
And that they plan to have Cyborg and the winner of this fight as the coaches.
Okay.
Right.
So that makes sense then.
Yeah. And of course as well, Megan was supposed to fight Cyborg at 214. Had to pull out and he brought in Evanger on short notice to take the fight.
Well, would you not think, say for the Ultimate Fighter, Cyborg and Holly Holm or Cyborg and Anderson, what do you think is more attractive?
I'd actually,
to fans coming
well, I would go if Holly Holm come in Holly Holm got this fight in old-fashioned sense, how she did before that. But anything but a fashionable win for her, like a knockout or anything like that, I would go for the other.
Yeah.
Even
I think whatever happens in this fight is going to determine that.
Well, to be honest, I want Cyborg versus Nunes. So I think if Holly wins this fight, I would do Holly versus Ketlin Vieira for the bantamweight contender, and then do Cyborg versus Evans,
well. Yeah.
Cyborg versus Nunes, I should say, around about the December card, something like that. I mean, that's a fight I want to see.
I think Cyborg's just... I think she beats all of them.
Yeah. Maybe
I think she fights two of them on the way to fighting one of them.
maybe if they were told that this was the eliminator fight, they'd maybe both lose.
Yeah, I don't know. They'll draw.
Not go for the win.
Yeah, I think it's a good fight for Megan Anderson because of Holly Holm's.
Yeah.
The fact there's been a losing streak, so I think it's a good fight for her to come in for. But I know people say Holly Holm's obviously been on a losing streak, but you can't count out.
No, definitely not.
But I don't know if she's one of like a Ronda Rousey who's maybe been found out.
Because this is Holly's 9th UFC fight, and her record at the moment is 4 wins, 4 losses. Obviously, she has a big fandom behind her, but I still don't feel we know how good she actually is. I mean, every moment she shows some sort of flash of brilliance, it's followed by...
Yeah.
I mean, that Betch fight was awful.
I think it's... For me, I go off the Ronda fight. Because that's... I know, like I say, some people say Ronda got found out, but in that moment, Ronda was... She was the biggest competitor, and she came in and...
I think going back to Holly there, I think people are disappointed because after they saw the Ronda with Ronda, I think everyone thought, wow, look what Ronda's just done to everyone. Yeah. Now look, there's someone new in town here. She's going to take over, and it never did take off for her.
And that's a big part of the reason why. I mean, I've never been a big fan of Holly, and the main reason is because there are these people out there who use the Ronda fight as this example of everything that Holly is. When the truth is, the real Holly Holm is a very slow, patient, methodical fighter. Yeah. If you want an example of the real Holly Holm, you watch something like the Marion Renault fight or what she did against Raquel Pennington on her debut. That to me is more representative of what Holly is.
That is, I just always think...
I mean, she's a good
I agree
fighter.
What you're saying there for me, but I always think, what can you do on the biggest stage?
Well, she does better on the biggest stage. Yeah.
And then when you
she
go
rose
after
to the occasion.
After that, if
some people freeze, and she absolutely thrived off it.
Definitely.
And that brings me on to a point as well, which I have a list of notes here that I always make about each of the fighters. Do you think Holly struggles being the favourite going into a fight? When people expect her to win, I feel that she gets a bit nervous. You start to show her opponent a bit too much respect and think, well, everybody wants me to win. What if I don't? I mean, she showed Betch far too much respect. I mean, I think Betch is better than people give her credit for, but she's not a great fighter.
I think some people fight better as underdogs.
Exactly.
Definitely.
And I think if you look at the Ronda fight and you look against Cyborg as well, those are Holly's 2 best performances.
Yeah. So
and they were in fighters where she was a massive underdog.
So it's going to show that you know, everyone's different. Some people like to fight in the home crowd and they thrive off it and don't want to ever fight away. And some people are complete opposite. They don't want to fight in the home crowd. They want to fight somewhere neutral out the way. Yeah. So, and she's like you say, she obviously...
There's people that are always going to... I know we're going slightly off the fighter here, but I would say you would struggle to find a fight Michael Bisping was ever favourite for. I'll guarantee there's probably 1 or 2 in there, but he always was the underdog. And I think some people fight better in that underdog position.
And then on the other side of it, I did some stats yesterday because I just uploaded a video a couple of days ago that Paige Van Zandt has been the bookmakers' favourites in every of her UFC fights.
So I would like that as a fighter.
Is that the draw of her? You know what I mean? Like, it's the same with GSP. Someone like GSP, when he came back, he was favourite because of his history, because of his past.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's when you start gaining the respect. When you've had that many fights and you're the champion, then that's different. I would like that. You think, you know, I've earned this. But from day one, you don't want to. You don't like to be, I think it's a buzz to be the bit of the underdog and win the fight. Adrenaline running thing, and everyone in this arena thought they counted me out and I've won this.
Well, UFC Liverpool, Darren Till said the exact same thing, that everyone's been saying he's not good enough and all this, and he's gone and beat Stephen Thompson, number 1. And he's, from being number 9, he's number 3.
I think he's gone up to number 2.
He's gone up to number 2.
I think RDA is number 1, Till is number 2, Covington 3, Lawler 4.
Yeah, there you go. And that's, I know you have beaten number 1, but like I say, some people say it was contentious. That's a big jump.
Massive jump.
It's a good jump, isn't it?
And speaking of massive jumps, it brings us on to Megan Anderson. Now, this is going to be Megan's debut in the UFC. She has been highly hyped for a long time. A lot of people saying that if there's anybody who has a chance to beat Cyborg, it could be her. For anybody who might not have seen Megan fight, though, what can you tell us about her?
Ooh, to be honest, I don't know too much about her.
I think she's more stand-up, isn't she? Quite a bit more stand-up. So I think with going back to her and Holly, I think that will bring a good fight.
Yeah.
To be fair, she's like I say, she's up and coming. She's well thought about. I think she's on that. What's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, like hype train. She's confidence. It is a big fight for him, but she's gone straight on the main card against Holly Holm. Is a big name, really, isn't she? She's a very big name, actually.
Yeah.
So I think she knows, and her and her team will know that this win, like you say, potentially her second fight in the UFC could be against Cyborg.
And that's the thing. So, the fact that I don't know too much about it,
no.
I'm excited to see what happens in this fight. Like I'm really excited to see what kind of game plan she has gone into the fight.
So, like from what I've seen from Megan's fights, because I've done a bit of a binge watch on Invicta on Fight Pass. I think she's a good power puncher, and she knows how to use her reach. I mean, she has a good jab. She's not Stefan Struve by any means. Yeah. Like, Struve doesn't know he's 7 foot tall. Like, he's like ducking in for uppercuts, and he's... but I say that, though, she does have poor defense, and I do think she's quite slow. In her last fight against Charmaine Tweet, I think a lot of people thought that she was going to win that quite easily. And she got the job done, but she didn't look convincing. So I'm a little worried that if she's struggling to beat someone like Charmaine Tweet, how is she going to handle Holly?
So, but I take it in this situation, she's the underdog?
Megan's the underdog. I think you get her about 3-1, I think.
Right. She might strive off that. She might be, again, one of these people strive off that.
Like I say, she's gone there from being, what you say, a massive favourite to now an underdog.
Yeah. And she's fighting on a big stage. And what is this would this be the third fight from the end?
Yeah.
Third fight, middle
fight. I'll tell you what, that's a big step to take.
Big step.
On a card like this as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I'm excited to see what she does in this fight. And if she's the underdog, like you say, Holly Holm might crack under the pressure of because that's again the 4-4 record doesn't, it's not good reading.
No.
But if you take Holly Holm down and beat her impressively, that's
a massive scalp.
But at the same time, is Holly Holm finished after this if she's to be defeated?
I mean, I don't think Holly will ever get cut or anything like that, but she is 37 now, so you've got to question how long she can go on it.
Yeah.
And
I think, honestly, however much UFC I've watched in the past and how long I've been watching it, I love the legends. I love to preach on the legends. Yeah. I think it's time for the younger blood coming through now. Honestly, I always tend to lean on the younger side.
It'll all depend on how she feels, really.
It does,
like you say, if she's not going to get cut, it'll be up to her and her team to say, look, we've had enough now. I think I've done everything I can do. Yeah. All they're going to do is keep bringing in these new women, because women's division is what it's done in 2 years. It'll be might be the same again in another 2 years, and they might be bringing them in too good and too young.
The one thing I will say with regards to Holly, though, is the type of opponent Holly thrives on are strikers who like to lead the pace, quite tall, and with poor defense.
And she's got it all. A
bit like Megan Anderson. So, in my opinion, I mean, as I mentioned before, I'm not the biggest Holly fan, but I think Holly takes this by decision, and quite comfortably as well.
I don't think it's going to go to decision. I don't know. I can't really lean on which side, because I do like an underdog coming in. It's her first fight. I think it'll be dramatic.
I'm probably going to go for Holly because I know more of her, but I wouldn't put far too much money on that, because this girl, like you say, she's either going to thrive on this or maybe fold. So, and I don't know that much about her. I know, like you say, she's a good power puncher, striker. And Holly Holm, I'm not sure where she stands at the minute either. I don't know if she's. I don't know if she's given us all we can see, or there is still a bit more of Holly. So I'm gonna go for Holly on a decision. The same, because I don't know. I don't know enough. I don't think.
I think TKO. I don't know who to. I'm gonna lean. I'll lean towards Holly because I've seen her do it before. I'd like to see Megan Anderson win because, again, I'm not a fan of Holly Holm, really.
And I think as well, I don't really want to see Cyborg Holly too. At least not just yet.
No.
So I think Cyborg versus Megan or Cyborg
Yeah.
versus Nunes would be something a bit different for that division.
And to be honest, not to be nasty, does Holly deserve a win? This is a newcomer coming through, up and coming. If she gets this scalp,
Does
if
she
she goes
deserve
on,
the title shot?
yeah, does Holly deserve? With
I mean,
that
she's had
losing
3
streak?
title shots already.
This is what I mean.
Yeah.
And it gets a bit kind of repetitive seeing the same fight. I'd rather Megan Anderson win.
So you say
I just think Holly might get a TKO.
and probably Cyborg will want the same.
Yeah.
And not that she's frightened to be frightened of Holly won, but I think she'll want fresh
Do
blood.
you want a new challenge?
So
I mean, Cyborg has been quite vocal about wanting to blood a new women's division.
There you go.
So match number 4 coming up then. So I think we're all in agreement there that we think Holly's going to win that one. Match number 4, I think it's not so much who we think's going to win, but I think everybody wants the same result in this fight. UFC interim welterweight title on the line. It's Rafael dos Anjos versus Colby Covington. Hooray, lads, we've got another interim title.
Yeah, everyone likes them.
no.
I think we were discussing before about where the rankings are now. Colby's obviously up there. He's another one that I think, not under the radar, but he's just been winning, keeping the wins going, and slowly pushing his way up there. Like I think I've heard Darren Till said he would like to fight him next. Honestly, I don't know for me which way this fight goes, because dos Anjos is.
Oh, Colby last was it me?
Colby beat Damian Maia.
Maia last, yeah.
Which is a
That's
big
right.
name, I'd
Yes,
say.
a big name. Was it decision?
Decision, yeah.
Yes. Alright.
It had to be with Maya, didn't it?
What?
Had to be a decision.
Well, any wrestler versus Maia these days
Yeah,
is
I know.
just there's only one result. But I think as well that fight also highlights to me there is a real changing of the guard at welterweight.
There is.
I mean, in space of 2 years, we've gone from Donald Cerrone, Robbie Lawler, Carlos Condit, and now we've
Complete
got
new faces.
Covington,
Yeah.
Till, Kamaru Usman.
Usman's another
Yeah.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a really exciting division to be
And
a
I
part
tell you what,
of now.
Neil Magny's going up there as well. I like Neil Magny anyway,
Yeah.
but
So would you say it's the most exciting weight in the division?
Well, I think lightweight's got, I think, the best stars. I like bantamweight. I think bantamweight's
I'm
got
a lightweight
really...
fan. I tell you what, I used to despise welterweight.
Did you?
Never
it was
a fan.
Probably because probably dominated it.
He did for a long time, but all the fights I watched seemed to just kind of be the same, slow. It was in between the two weights that I thought I liked. It was just a weight that I just never
Never give
counted.
interest to.
Yeah,
The swinging roundabouts, don't they?
it is, but
The
it
swinging
is
roundabouts.
picking up at the minute, and I'm excited to see what goes on. And I'll tell you what, I'm excited to see the different matchups that's going to be,
Yeah.
because like you say, there's such a switch up going on.
Yeah.
There's
It's-
new
this
fights.
is where UFC is the best, because if the audience want that fight, that fight generally happens. Whereas in the professional boxing or anything like that, you can get these two superstars and then sometimes never fight because they can't agree to a thing.
Exactly.
Whereas when you see it now, we don't generally have to wait too well. Sometimes we do,
We-
but
yeah.
Unless
sometimes
you're
you don't.
Tony and Habib.
That was, yes,
That
You
fight's
do-
never
that's
gonna
what
happen.
made us laugh. But you don't, like I say, you can generally, when all these good fighters come, they can generally say right,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden they're matched.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing with Dana White. He knows a lot of the time
He's a
what
people-
fans want.
yeah,
Darren
he-
Till, Stephen Thompson. I know I'll go back to it, but that's a big jump.
People wanted that fight.
They
he
wanted
gave
the
it.
fight,
Yeah.
and to put it in Liverpool as well. I think that was a massive shout. So in the minute of welterweight, I think you've got some good matchups coming up, and I think Colby Covington, if he wins this, you could say he could jump to a title shot because he'll be getting the interim. But would you say Colby, Darren Till,
Well, I think a lot of it...
Usman?
And I mean, I think part of the reason for this, what's going to happen with welterweight is, we all know Dana White doesn't like Tyron Woodley. Them two have been a bad blood for a lot of times. And I think what's happened with the rise of Till, Usman, and potentially Colby or RDA is it gives him an option. Either he can go champion versus champion and go against Woodley, but if he thinks Till has a better chance of beating Woodley, he can jump him to the title shot. He can do the same with Usman. He's got a lot of options
I
now.
always thought you had to go champion versus champion
I thought you
to unify it, if you
Yeah.
like.
I think my mind goes back to, I think, 91, because we had Big Nog win the interim title, but they still gave Brock the title shot against Randy.
Right.
So they jumped Big Nog even though he was the interim.
I mean,
That's
do
poor.
you see anyone beating Woodley in the division?
I don't.
I don't.
No, but like you say, look what's happened in the last couple of months or years. People coming up. So
I
not at
think
the top.
Woodley's too strong.
Yeah.
However much I don't want him to be champion because he balls the hell out of me.
Yeah.
He does everything
He's
he
a
needs
strong
to do to
guy.
win.
He's a strong guy.
And people can slag him off. That whatever you say about him will just go on it. Will just go over his head. As long as he's winning fights, he won't care what people are saying.
Trying to change the subject back to our interim title fight. Rafael dos Anjos, Colby Covington. We'll start with RDA. He has completely reinvented himself at welterweight. I mean, I saw his last couple of fights at lightweight. Even though he was champion, he'd lost a step. I think the weight cut was really starting to affect him. Now he's back on form, and we're seeing the RDA that was so exciting at lightweight.
It's great to see, because generally when this happens, they've generally dropped a weight.
Yeah.
They've generally dropped away from maybe landing a light heavyweight middleweight, and they think, well, he's got that more spring in his step. He's gone up, and he's done.
And he's still got the power.
Yeah,
He does. Yeah. And I think when you switch weights, it's one of those things. Sorry, it's one of those things for me. That weight change can make or break you.
This just goes to show how much he must have been struggling at the lightweight.
But is it me or has weight become such a big issue?
massive
now.
now.
I promise you,
a massive issue.
it got even the stage with me going back. I know I'm not in the UFC, but honestly, from fighting where the weight took over.
Yeah.
But I didn't know sometimes at one point if it was good, because it literally took my mind off for 6 weeks before my fight, and I didn't cut it a lot. I was thinking about the weight, how am I going to do this, writing stuff out, getting that, making sure, jumping up on the scales, not thinking about the fight, jumping up, and literally it wasn't until after you got weighed in 24 hours before the fight you start thinking about the fight.
Well, that's why it's probably
over.
a great decision by RDA.
Yeah. It takes
Because
over your life.
if his RDA's mind's like that, he wants to just be able to get ready for a fight. Go
definitely.
on.
And it's going to improve his cardio as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not. I don't care what anyone says for you, whether in later in life or what, it can't be good for you.
No.
And your thing is, you're dehydrating your body, and you're going in there, and you get in your brains, like I said before, you know, it's surrounded by water, and it's going to drop, isn't it? From the first place to get dehydrated, it's going to be the top of the brain, you know. And I think it's just getting too many bats to the head and going the distance on that lack of oxygen with a dehydrated brain and head.
I think it's a good decision for him.
How do you think RDA is going to approach this fight? Obviously, he's fighting somebody with a great wrestling background. RDA is a decent enough wrestler himself, but do you think he's going to try and keep it standing?
I think he is.
Yeah.
For me, I think he's going in there to knock him out.
Yeah. I mean, they'll probably. He's a good all-round fighter himself, like everyone in the UFC. Really, he'll have that game plan to stand. But I suppose once he fails about, he'll know maybe more of how he's going to approach maybe the second round or anything else. But I think if he's comfortable stood up, I think he'll probably try and do that for the full. With it being interim, is it 5 rounds?
It's 5 rounder.
5 rounds.
And come on, Colby's not exactly like the nicest guy.
How much of that's just for the camera, though?
A lot
of
that is, but that doesn't mean you want to hit him less. If someone's like that,
Chael
Sonnen, people wanted to shut Chael Sonnen up.
Yeah.
It's the same with this.
Definitely.
He's this guy going around talking and however much has to sell the fight or to get more money coming in. It doesn't matter.
I couldn't be bothered to go on like that.
No.
Go on too much.
And look, again, Conor McGregor's Chael Sonnen was the guy.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor seemed to outdo that, and everyone wanted to knock out Conor McGregor. They wanted to knock out Chael Sonnen.
I think going back to that, man, Conor McGregor, I find that Conor McGregor was much more liked. Don't get us wrong, there was a lot of people who hated him.
Yeah.
Don't get us wrong, it was either he was in love or hate. But because the
charisma he had.
And he had straight answers straight back, which is a clever mind, you know. Like someone said something, he had an answer straight away for them.
Yeah, sometimes Chael's seemed a bit pre-rehearsed.
Yeah.
Connor's as well sometimes, but a lot of the time Connor seemed like he just
so
came
quick
on the top of the head.
And I think the big difference between those two and Colby is Chael and Conor both had a lot of charisma. And I don't think Colby has that. Colby he's a bit too much of a try-hard when he's like, I don't know, posting Avengers spoilers on his Twitter feed. It's just like, yo, look at me, I'm so evil.
Yeah,
it's
he's trying to get himself out there as being this annoying guy. He's doing it the wrong way, but spoiling Avengers, that's a big enough reason to hit him anyway.
Yeah. Best thing you can do if you want to be known is just fight your best and go out and win every fight. Whoever they put in front of you, just keep winning. But I know sometimes you can jump to a fight earlier than before if people love or hate, you want people to talk about you, I suppose. Bad publicity is better than no publicity, I suppose. I've
always said, I know there's some fighters that come in, they'll fight and they're just, straight to the point. They just say what if they want this fight or that fight. I think you need that emotional side. I think you need some emotion after a fight or before a fight, because you get a personal side to that fighter, whether you lose or win. The Darren Till fight, they asked who he wanted next. He said, I don't care who I want next. I just want every single person.
Well, that was the censored version of
that.
What he said.
That's the censored version. But do you know what I mean? There was still raw passion and emotion there. But I think Colby's doing it in in the wrong way, and again, it's a way that makes you get punched in the face. And I think he'll be going for the knockout RDA against Colby.
Probably one of the most satisfying knockouts of all time if it happens. I have a lot of worries for Colby in this fight. I think if it goes to the ground, he's got the wrestling background to cause RDA trouble. But if RDA is able to keep this standing, I think there's a lot of worries there for Colby. I mean, Damien Maia was out punching him, and that says a lot.
Yeah,
that does say a lot.
It does.
That's what I'm saying. I think it will stay standing. If Colby gets him to the floor, honestly, I think if Colby gets him to the floor, I think he's still going to receive damage from RDA.
Yeah.
And I think RDA is going into it thinking, I just want to inflict as much damage to him.
Yeah.
He's got his game plan, but it'll be just inflicting damage. That's what it'll be.
Yeah. RDA could probably do more damage stood up than he could do on the floor.
Yeah, that's what I think. For me, I'm going to go for RDA. I just don't think Colby's got enough for me, personally.
Yeah.
I'm going RDA as well. I'm not entirely sure how. I can't see it being a knockout.
I'd say stoppage, and I'll go third round.
Yeah, I think it would be a...
I'm going to say RDA by decision, but it's going to be quite a one-sided decision.
Yeah, okay.
If the winner, so whether it's RDA or whether it's Colby, does the winner get Woodley, and should the winner get Woodley?
Yes, definitely should. Because to me, that title doesn't mean as much as what it should do if they don't get that fight. Because that was always, to me, that's what I thought happened. You've got that interim title because, look, you deserve the title, but for whatever reason, circumstances, you haven't got it. But look, we're going to give you that if you obviously win, and you then now go and unify it. And as a champion like Woodley, I would want to fight the winner because then you're going to go, hey, you're no champion.
There's no champion.
I am. There's only one winner around here. You know,
and I agree with that. If you've got an interim belt, you can't then be having other fights here and there. You need to get those belts merged as quick as possible. There's one champion. You can't have.
Obviously, if there's a reason and the fight got matched or whatever, or one of them got injured, then fair enough. But if they're both fully fit and whatever else, there should be no arguments, no reasons. Them two should be fighting each other.
My only issue is RDA. I could probably say could deserve a title shot. However much Colby's been winning, yes.
But if he wins his fight, then at the end of the day, they've given him the title shot now.
Yeah,
they've given this.
that's what I mean.
If he wins that, even me. But like I've just said there, he does deserve that next one.
He does for the amount of wins he's got. I'll give him that. But I just think, except Maya, there's not been a lot of massive names in there. I think for me, I would have liked him to see him fight someone else before the title shot.
But
even say Stephen Thompson.
What do you think will be Thompson's next fight? He's in a bit of a crossroads in his career now.
Usman, I think.
Yeah, because he's not. You wouldn't put him down too much. No. He needs a win to then erect that, to erase that loss. If
where's he dropped to?
I
don't know. It must be fifth. Is he?
Is he fourth?
I think he's fourth and Lawler's fifth.
Right.
I think it'll be Usman next. I heard Magny was saying he wanted to fight Usman next, but I think the fight in my head when I'm thinking of the table, that's what it'll be.
I think some of these are ready to fight in the next. Thompson might have. Well, we're on June. Thompson might not fight till the end of the year now, or even begin the next year, maybe.
So we move on to our main event of the evening. It's a rematch, middleweight title on the line. Robert Whittaker versus Yoel Romero. A rematch from their brilliant fight at UFC 213. Do you think the UFC are a bit too reliant on rematches right now? I mean, is the demand really that high for Whittaker and Romero? I mean, I know it's a little bit by default. Obviously, Romero took out the only real contender in Rockhold. So
Romero really deserves that fight.
He deserves it, but is the demand there for it?
If not, how would you? Yeah, I think I know what you're saying, but I think I think no one's going to be disappointed. Surely, there's not that many people out there.
I'm not disappointed by it. I just think, do you not? I can't think off the top of my head, but could you not give someone else a chance?
Well, I think, like I say, with Romero winning against Rockhold, I think that sort of that give him the chance. I mean, Whittaker hasn't fought since, has he?
No.
So,
been out for 11 months.
Yeah. Now, this might be a quiet fight. This might just.
I just think that I agree. I'm not a fan of rematch, an instant rematch.
'Cause
I like
I know
to see them both fight someone else, and then.
But this has been done, like, going back to boxing, they've done that for years, and it used to always be in contracts, especially if the champion got beat.
You had to
had to automatically give them a rematch, providing they wanted one, providing the loser wanted.
But you know, I think it depends on the fight. If the fight,
yes,
you know, like the Thompson Woodley one, the draw, fair enough, give it a rematch. If you've been dominated in the fight, and then you get a rematch straight away, then give it to some. You have to fight someone else.
Personally, I think rematches should only be given to dominant champions or sort of fluke losses.
Yeah.
So I agreed with Joanna getting the shot against Rose because there were so many questions from that first fight.
I agree on that one as well.
But I don't agree with Dillashaw and Garbrandt, for example.
See, I don't agree with that one only because there's other people there to fight in the title. I do like the fact, I do like the fact that them two are fighting because I really like TJ and I really dislike Cody.
But even away from the fans, as the champion, I would want a fresh blood. Because I would like, if I had a title and I defended 4 times, I would like to see I defend against him, and him, rather than I've defended twice against him and twice against what. So you've only beat 2 people.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I like definitely like what Karl says there though. Obviously, if you beat 5 different lads, then there's no one else. Then you go back, and they're maybe on a 4-5 winning streak. But yeah, I know, but
again, it's that thing of what's making money.
Yeah,
exactly.
People want to see the rematch of TJ Cody, but honestly, the DJ TJ fight was the fight I was excited to see. DJ obviously backed out of that, but I think for me, rematches, they kind of become too.
I think there needs to be a bit more time because the one that comes to mind for me is Silva versus Sonnen. Obviously, we had Sonnen coming very close to winning that fight. But they didn't do the rematch straight away. They let Chill build up a bit of a streak himself.
Exactly.
And it made the rematch so much bigger.
It did. And that, for me, if you lose the championship fight, you should have to go and prove that you're still worthy of that by fighting someone else.
Yeah, but he has done that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he has.
Done that.
Romero has done that.
And with Whittaker being out for 11 months, I know it's a bit of a, you can be on the fence. I think obviously it's more exciting for Romero's fans than Whittaker's. Yeah. Whittaker's fans will be like, oh, you know, but
I mean, for me, Romero's the last person I want to fight again.
Yeah.
In that he's just the most intimidating guy I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's like Lazarus. I mean, the guy's 41 years old and looks like he hasn't aged. Is
this another reason why, behind the scenes, is he pushing for this fight going, look at a big Rockhold, you put him in front of us, I'm 41, I'm nearly, he might have even said, look, after this fight I'm retiring anyhow, just give me, I want that title. You know?
At that age,
is that why they've given him it? He maybe hasn't got 2 years. Do you know what you're saying about giving someone 2 years and let them build up and then think? They may be thinking, well, look at it. If this fight doesn't happen now, it's never going to happen.
Yeah. It could be.
So what do we think are Romero's routes to trying to win this fight? Obviously, he's got a great wrestling background. He was an Olympic silver medalist in wrestling, but he's got some legitimate knockout power. He does.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rockhold fight 221, but even back to what he did against Weidman at 205.
Honestly, the Weidman thing just repeats in my head of just like how
almost scary.
Like when the cyborg got his head done by Michael Page.
Yeah, in over, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I honestly, the thing that scares me about Romero, however much his wrestling power is there, he can just take you down, you can dominate, is his knockout power. That's what scares me about him. And I think if I was fighting him, that's what would be scaring me. If you can defend the takedown, that's fine. Because as long as you don't get the floor, that's fine. Once you're down there, he's got some weight on him. But honestly, personally, it'd be the knockout power for me that I'd be worried about.
Although what Robert Whittaker did very, very well was he neutralised Romero's power in that first fight. Yeah.
I mean, it's probably we might see a very, very similar fight. Nothing too different, if that makes sense. Obviously, they'll be trying different things, but they're always going to go back to the roots.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, they might.
I think it'll be a similar fight.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a similar fight. I can't see too many changes in it.
If anything, like they said, probably the first round, and then after that, be pretty much the same. I
think Whittaker's just at the minute he's got this game plan in his head with all the fights he's had, and he just knows how to execute it well. I think he's for me, it'll be him.
And I think the amazing thing with Whittaker is, and it goes back to what we were saying right at the start of the show about being the underdog and thriving on it. Whittaker went through this phase where nobody was giving him a chance. People said, you can't beat Derek Brunson, he beat him. You can't beat Jacare, and he beat him.
That was me. I mean, I'll hold my hands up and say that. Yeah. I wasn't a fan. I thought he's kind of...
I mean, it was good. That was a coming-of-age fight for him.
Oh, it was. And for me, every fight I've seen, he's got better. And every fight he's had, I've become more of a fan of him. Yeah. And like I say, he's matured a lot as well, even in his the way
when you start making him a favourite, he might get beat.
There you go. I think
we've got an even split between the two in the bookmakers' odds.
Yeah.
I think Whittaker's a slight favourite, but it's a pick.
I mean, from Romero to be anywhere near, it's probably given the fact that Whittaker's had 11 months off.
Yeah.
And
but
obviously
again, in this fight, say Romero wins, does he have another fight after that? Does he have one more fight after that?
With each other, the third?
No, well, you could say the trilogy.
Or you give him Kelvin.
I think that would go. I think that would go. Not that I'm saying I want to say this. I mean, because we don't even know this. It could be a boring thing. He could knock him out in 20 seconds. Yeah. But I think they would give that a trilogy. Especially going back to what I said about his age, because I think they're really thinking he has maybe only got a couple of fights left, possibly. So I think if that trilogy was going to happen, they'll be wanting it. And it might be Whittaker might say, well, look, I'll give him a rematch.
Yeah,
you then
definitely.
You give me a rematch.
So, but what if Romero loses all three?
No. Okay, no, if Romero wins, he wouldn't fight again 3 times.
What does that mean? So if he loses the
if Romero loses his fight,
no, definitely not. No, definitely not. I'm just saying if we won and it was 1-1, there would be a third.
Because it has happened in the past where they give even if you've lost the 2 times, you get a third fight.
Yeah, not 3 off the belt, but I know what you're saying.
Was it Edgar versus Penn where that happened?
The one I was thinking, I think it was Ken Shamrock, Tito.
And Tito 3, and definitely was. But that was on the. I think it was one of the first ever UFC fight nights. The third one, like I said, they had the 2 back in the day, and then they sort of come off the main card. And I
mean, there was bad blood between them.
They hated each other, didn't they?
They shouldn't have.
But that's still actually because Buzz, who trained with us at the time, he fought Ken Shamrock after he retired against Ortiz in 2006, then fought him in 2008, and we remember watching the fights and all that, and like that did actually still bring in a lot of attention, even though he was 0-2 against him, or Tito was 2-0. Them 2 back then, they were well popular or well disliked. One of the 2.
I mean, it was an early time of the sport as well. Yeah. So you could say it's different. There might not be as. I don't think no one had the rivalry back then. Yeah, like that. Like I say,
that was like the first big one.
That was a massive one.
Well, it was always Tito, because Tito had a bit with Chuck, didn't he? And then he had a rivalry with Dana. Like he was quite. He was the bad boy, wasn't he? The Hunting Beach bad boy.
So. A lot of the bookies are calling this a pick'em. Where do we stand on this one?
I'm gonna go same result as last time. Same like result in everything, winner and decision.
Yeah, I'm going for the same just because of the fact I can see Whittaker having a nice run of wins now.
And now going back to when you said should this have been a rematch, then what I've just said then I've contradicted myself, because no, there shouldn't have been, because nobody should be saying it's going to be the same result. No. We won it. We should be saying it's going to be a total different story this fight. So maybe there shouldn't have been a rematch. Maybe
you can never count Romero out. Just to the sheer size. And
if Romero doesn't finish this in the first 2 rounds, Whittaker wins.
Yeah. I think Whittaker knows how to keep the fight going his way and when to change that in the fight. I think he'll win it and he'll go on and have a few good wins as champion.
And that, lads, is all the time that we've had. It's been absolutely fantastic having you over. A final assessment of 225. Could this potentially be one for the ages?
I think if every fight goes like how you expect it, will be one of the best events.
Definitely, but like you say, sometimes you get an event that you don't think so good and it becomes brilliant. But if it goes how it should do, then definitely.
Well, I certainly hope so. And then we've got 226 afterwards. Of course, Stipe DC on that one. Holloway versus Ortega. Francis versus Derek. I mean, that's a stacked card coming up as well.
A good spell in the UFC, haven't they? They've recently good stacked cards.
And I tell you what, they usually do it near the end of the year, so we're getting it quite early. So I think pushing on to the end of the year, are we going to get even better cards?
Well, we've got Madison Square Garden coming up, potentially Khabib defending.
Tony Ferguson and Khabib, by the way, never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
I'm going to say it again. It's never going to happen.
So hopefully we'll be talking about that next time.
Yes.
It's happening.
And thank you very much for joining us then on It's Not Cage Fighting. It's been an absolute joy. That's been Tim Close.
Yep, thank you.
That's been Max Grant.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed the preview, and fingers crossed that 225 turns out as good as we think it's going to be. Bye-bye for now.